Protection. And Congresswoman Moore, thank you for hosting us in your district. Mr. Mayor, thank you for hosting us in your city. You know, it's an honor. It's more than an honor to be here with Vice President Harris, who has spent her career fighting for equality, equity, justice, and the environment. Thank you, Madam Vice President. You have done so much and will continue to do so much to protect all communities in this country, no matter the zip code or how much money people have in their pockets. Yes, I am here today as Administrator of the United States Environmental Protection Agency, but I am also here today as a father. And like any parent, my number one priority is the health and safety of my 8-year-old son. And yet there are mothers and fathers all across the country who know the pain of having a child sickened by contaminated water. The tragedy of lead is shared by too many communities, especially Black and Latino communities. A recent study has found that Black children living at or below the poverty level in the United States of America are four times more likely to have elevated levels of lead in their blood. This is an injustice that affects our big cities, it impacts our small towns, and our communities all across rural America. Back in November, during my Journey to Justice tour, I visited communities whose lives have been upended by our nation's crumbling water infrastructure. When I was in Jackson, Mississippi, I was set to meet students at an elementary school. But the morning of the visit, the school wound up closing due to low water pressure. And just hours after I visited a water treatment facility, the plant was forced to partially shut down, resulting in a boil water advisory for much of the city. And throughout the tour, I spoke with mothers and fathers whose children have been exposed to lead through the water that they are currently drinking. It is a moral imperative for all of us that no child and no family in this country is left to drink dirty water. At EPA, we follow the science, and the science on lead is settled. There is no safe level of lead exposure, not for children, not for adults, not for anyone. Lead-poisoned children are more likely to struggle academically, experience behavioral problems, and drop out of school. Early life exposures can lead and result into adverse impacts later in life, including high blood pressure, heart and kidney disease, and reduced fertility. Now, many of you have heard me say it before, and I'll say it again. It is time to get the lead out. And EPA is committed to using every tool in our toolbox to do so. Thanks to the President and the Vice President for their leadership, EPA is distributing $7.4 billion in bipartisan infrastructure law funding this year for states, tribes, and territories. And as part of this investment, Wisconsin will receive more than $140 million in the year 2022 for water infrastructure, including more than $48 million dedicated to removing lead pipes that have plagued communities for far, far too long. And there will be more of those resources to come over the next 5 years. Now, the Vice President and I are here today visiting Big Step because we also want to meet the workforce, the water workforce of tomorrow, the people who are being trained as we speak to take the lead pipes out of the ground. You see, in addition to protecting people's health, investing in water infrastructure is also about putting people back to work. The more than 140 million coming to Wisconsin this year is expected to create 2,200 jobs. Many of those jobs will be right here in Milwaukee. Investing in our water infrastructure is one of the best decisions we can make as a nation for public health and environmental protection, for the creation of jobs, and for future economic vitality for all of our communities across the country. And we're going to make sure that the communities who are most in need get the funding that they deserve. I sent a letter to every governor in every state detailing how we must target our infrastructure dollars to ensure that they get to those who need it the most. And we'll continue to work closely with our state partners on both sides of the aisle to ensure that this historic investment reaches our most vulnerable communities. Our work is not complete, until every child in the United States of America has access to clean, safe drinking water. And we will not rest until the job is done, and the job is done right. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Deanna Branch, a leader in her community, a Milwaukee resident whose family has seen firsthand the devastations of lead exposure.